All right, we have to talk about this new little chronique, they call it in French, that I heard on BPM Sport, Premier Compteur, Jean-Charles Lajoie Gic with Tony Marinero. My jaw was on the ground. I understand. Somebody said in the other video that I'm beating a dead horse with this KK stuff, and look, I agree with you, but I'm so fascinated with the story that is Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and clearly the boys Marinero and Gic were as well, because they talked about it for a good 10 plus minutes. And it was so interesting because if you didn't catch this clip, basically what happened was that Gic goes on and Marinero's basically going on this tangent about how the Habs just decided not to sign Kotkaniemi when the offer sheet was presented with the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Habs decided to move on. And that's when Gic said, you know what, should I reveal this? Maybe I'll reveal this, maybe I won't. And he says, you know what, it's been 2 years, I'm going to reveal it. And then Gic comes out and reveals the truth about the Kotkaniemi offer sheet. And up until this point, pretty much everybody believed that, again, it was just Carolina gave this ridiculous number that Montreal knew they weren't going to be able to match, so they just let KK go to Carolina because he signed that and they weren't going to be able to match that money. Gic revealed that Montreal was ready to match that offer from Carolina, but only if at the first possible time KK would sign a long-term extension with the Montreal Canadiens after he matched that contract. So Bergevin and Brass were ready to keep Kotkaniemi and to sign or match that offer sheet that he signed with the Carolina Hurricanes. And when I heard that, my jaw dropped. And then Gic just goes, and once Montreal presented that potential scenario to Kotkaniemi, his agent never called back. So basically, KK ghosted the Montreal Canadiens and just decided to say, hey, take a hike, I'm going to Carolina, which is not at all how the public and me, myself also thought the situation played out. I genuinely thought that Carolina decided to sign this offer sheet because they were getting revenge for Aho, which again is still true because of the $20 thing, and that Montreal was just handcuffed and they couldn't keep Kotkaniemi. But the fact that they went out and tried to keep KK, but it was him who went and decided to be like, nope, I'm done with Montreal, was an absolute jaw dropper to me. I did not see that one coming. And then Marinero chimes in and talks about how, oh yeah, well, I mean, don't forget, guys, Kotkaniemi got sent down to Laval. He was not happy about that. In the playoffs, we all remember when he scored and he puts the 4 up to the press box to Bergevin to show that he was upset about being healthy scratched in the playoffs and in the Stanley Cup final. Like, he got healthy scratches some key games, and the rumblings were that Kotkaniemi was really unhappy with that, right? So a lot of that played into this too, but I could not have seen this one coming. And then Gic comes out and says, thank you, Kotkaniemi, for not doing that. Could you imagine we have a $4 million, $5 million, $6 million Kotkaniemi on this Montreal Canadiens team? And then they go on to ask, like, hey, if KK was on this team, where would he slot in right now? Maybe there is no Kirby Dach. Maybe there is no Slavkovsky, right? Where would he even slot in? And they were saying most likely on the fourth line. So if you're paying a guy upwards of $3-4 million to play on the fourth line, it's not looking good. So thank you, KK. That's what they were saying on the radio. But that was some piping hot tea from Gic right there to reveal that. Like, I was shocked, because again, to me, this whole time the narrative has always been that Carolina handcuffs Montreal with that offer sheet. And while that still is true, that's a whole different ball game now to reveal the part where KK ghosts the Montreal Canadiens and decides to move on with Carolina rather than stay with Montreal and be willing to sign another long-term contract extension. And again, a lot of other things also go into that, where maybe he saw that if Carolina was willing to give him that money up front, maybe they had more faith in him to play in the top 6 and give him a bigger role than Montreal would, who was scratching him, sending him to Laval and doing him this type of stuff. But hey, they were just looking out for his development. The Habs were trying to develop this guy the best as possible. But I'm floored by this. I truly am floored by this little huge news bomb that Zic drops that Kotkaniemi ghosts the Habs after he says, hey, Bergevin, that being, says, hey, we will match this offer, but only if you're willing to stay with us long term and sign at the first possible time you can do it. And Kotkaniemi says, bye. And on top of that, Zic also mentions that Montreal finds out that KK signed the offer sheet, not from him or from his agent, but from social media. So an absolute gut punch from KK on his way out. And hey, I mean, if there weren't already a bunch of people booing him when he comes through, I bet you once this starts catching more wind, and it's Montreal, everything from a former equipment manager's book to the Daily News and Rumors literally catches fire with fans in Montreal. This is going to make the rounds. Fans are going to know about it, make no mistake about that, but this is a draw dropper. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.